Did the star of Thor, Chris Hemsworth, just accidentally slip up and give away the Marvel Avengers movies are going to be a trilogy? Today we'll tell you why it might make sense and why Disney might not want to do that after all. Answers on the way. There's a great big beautiful tomorrow, and he's the new man in charge of Disney. Will he help Kevin Feige take a stand and make a trilogy out of these Avengers movies? Or did Chris Hemsworth just make a throwaway line that will not stand the test of time and turn out to be, just no big deal? Today we'll define what happened and let you know whether or not it's true a trilogy is on the way for the MCU. Before we do, click the like button, drop a comment down below, and here we go. Coming to us from IGN. How long has it been since we got something from IGN? This one says, we've got some ideas. Chris Hemsworth confirms Thor future following Avengers Doomsday. Something pretty unique again. This guy's not going to die in the movie, so he says he's got, what else? What has he got? Here we go. By Tom Phillips, Marvel star Chris Hemsworth has confirmed there are plans for him to still play Thor, and this is what matters, folks, a couple of times after this year's Avengers Doomsday. Don't let that go. Speaking on the Smartless podcast with Jason Bateman, Sean Hayes, and Will Arnett, Hemsworth suggested audiences would see him portray the fan favorite Norse god for some time yet. It's a surprising revelation, it's not for us, not least because Avengers Doomsday is expected to be an apocalyptic affair where the fates of many Marvel characters will likely hang in the balance. But it also serves to reverse the narrative on Hemsworth being ready to hang it up this winter with his hammer. A narrative Hemsworth initially sparked himself by saying he was ready to close the door on the character. Now, the phrase that we need to focus on right here is a couple of times. And why? Because we have been reporting on this channel that it's very, 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 very likely that this Avengers duo in game, followed by, what's the next one, guys? What's the next Avengers movie?
You're talking
Secret
about
Wars?
Doomsday and Secret Wars?
Secret Wars, yeah. We believe that's a middle to a trilogy. And we believe they're going to be announcing that this year. That rumor is looking more and more likely, and this is the latest thing to add to it. If there is no Thor following whatever these Avengers movies are, and he's got a couple more movies to go, that would say to me he's got a trilogy to make, and there's 2 movies left in the trilogy after this one. We've got Secret Wars, and then the final, the big finale, the end of all that we've seen from Marvel and Kevin Feige. Panel, this is getting really, really close now. Am I missing this, or do you think that, this is now obvious? Just announce the trilogy. What say you?
I would take this in a completely different direction. I mean, you were talking about a trilogy. I don't know if they're going to be able to stick the landing with the first one. I think Chris Hemsworth is playing coy here, and he's playing it safe. And it's a little wink nod to the fact that, there's probably going to be a continuation here. But he's also been on record in the past to say that he would consider doing a Thor, I think, 5? He's interested in that. Personally, just from my own sources that have worked with him, he speaks very highly of Thor. He loves playing Thor, and he is not happy with the reception for Love and Thunder. He's very upset that did not land in the way that they thought it was going to land when they were making it, which kind of talks to how tone deaf Love and Thunder was. They had no idea who they were making it for. I think Doomsday, if we look at what Doomsday is and the leaks that keep getting confirmed and what they say, this movie is a risk. This movie is a massive risk. If this doesn't land with audiences, you don't need Secret Wars. No one's going to see 1 or 2 Secret Wars. I don't know how you continue past this, but it's very interesting. And they're more than likely they are going to confirm Secret Wars 2 and 3.
Well, here's the thing. I believe that this is the only way they can conceive that they're going to recoup their money. I think they realize that you're exactly right, Wiz, that the numbers are going down, the interest level's going down. And with all this money already baked into the cake, they've got to find a way to shake out more cash from audiences. Well, you can't do that 2 movies, but you might be able to do it with 3. And if you can share the cost of production within these 3 films, that's one way to try to get back some amount of this investment. I also think that they're throwing so many characters at this that unless they do 3 movies, you're going to have 2 minutes of screen time for some of these people total. And that's not going to play well with the egos that are behind this. Kara, is this the right or wrong decision for them? Should they stick with 2 and just get out of this and move on? Or is it 3 maybe the way they go for?
Ooh, I mean, I'm kind of with Fake Wizard on this one. I really don't know if 3 is going to be the right call. I admit I haven't really kept up with who's all being announced for it. with the rumors with Secret Wars. So I think it's very risky if they are trying to bank on a trilogy. I don't know.
Listen,
it to be the same type of phenomenon Endgame was, but I don't think they're going to be able to have that lightning strike twice.
Derek, where do we go with this? What do they do? They've got, I mean, the amount of money that's going to be invested. This will be one of the most expensive movies ever made in the history of movies. And if it bombs, they still have at least one movie left to go, and it could get really bad for them. What do you think is, what's the play here for Disney?
I mean, if Chris Hemsworth, if he really wants to come back as Thor and make another Thor movie, I think there would be a lot of interest if he could find the right writer, the right director, and somebody that would bring him in as he wants to be. He wants to be the Thor that we saw in the first two films. I think he wants to return to serious Thor. He wants to make a movie that resonates with all comic book fans, not just, Taika Waititi and his nonsense. So I think he would be on board to do another Thor movie. Just to be a part of an ensemble and just throw him into Secret Wars. I don't think that's what he's really talking about. So I personally wouldn't mind seeing Thor, come back as Thor and not as fat Thor or joke Thor or something where they're just, diminishing the character. As long as they're bringing him back the right way, I wouldn't have a problem with it. And I think audiences would be on board. I do think that the whole Marvel Cinematic Universe, at least this phase of it, is well past the expiration date, okay, for me personally. I think they need to reboot, get the X-Men in, and then start something new. I think that's what they're ultimately going to end up doing, whether or not Doomsday, or Secret Wars works. I think these characters, look, these guys are getting older too, so you can't have, how long is Chris Hemsworth going to play Thor? What the first one was, 2010, 2011? So you're going on like almost 20 years of playing a single character, and he looks great doing it. But like I said, I think he'll be down for a couple more Thor movies. I don't know if he's just going to jump into Secret Wars and do a bunch of those, ensemble films. I wouldn't be interested that much.
So you're thinking this is aimed more at the trilogy, finish this out with two more films?
I think so. Yeah.
Let me show you why.
4, 5, and 6. Like he'll have his 4. He already has Thor 4, and then 5 and 6. And then that would end up a second trilogy of Thor movies.
Here's one of the reasons we think this is a rumor that's worth chasing, and why every single time we get a breadcrumb that points this way, we say, yeah, everything's aligning with this. We've been following this since at least May of last year, but June is when we came out with this report. Out of thatparkplace.com, it says Avengers trilogy or X-Men reboot. Marvel pulls out of San Diego Comic-Con just as new mystery movie is scheduled for Disney's biggest release window. Now, you all know that we're going to have Avengers Doomsday in December of 2026. You may know that we're going to have Secret Wars in 2027, and Marvel last year plugged in a new film, but with no name, for December 15th, 2028. Now, a Marvel movie for December 15th, 2028, still with no name, still with no title, still with no IP assessed to it. Let me tell you something. That's one of the biggest releases of the year. Maybe one of the biggest release windows of the year. That is the week before Christmas and going into Christmas and all through New Year's. That's Avatar land. That's whatever you want to throw at it that's going to make the biggest money possible. The only thing that rivals it would be Memorial Day weekend. So December 15th, there is a mystery Marvel movie sitting out there. Is Disney going to throw an X-Men movie at that? I don't know. Are they going to regen the X-Men just for that as soon as these two movies are over? Or is this the trilogy film, the slated slot sitting there, and maybe the third of the contract that Chris Hemsworth is referring to? Lauren, what do you say?
I think you hedge your bets. I would not be announcing anything until after Doomsday comes out. You wait to see what the reception is. That gives you the most fluidity in your planning to determine what you want to do. It gives you the most flexibility. Nothing could be worse than announcing a trilogy and having the first in that trilogy flop, and then possibly having to cancel a movie, which I don't think they would do. But if you're in a situation where you're off to a bad start, you're just going to be throwing bad money after good. That's not a situation you ever want to be in. So maintain your flexibility until you know which way the wind is blowing.
Well, we will probably get an announcement one way or the other. We'll know this within the next 2 or 3 months, because they're going to have to tell us what that movie is. By the way, no production announced for anything X-Men. So if you were going to release a big movie at the biggest time of the year, you might have to be doing it with something that's already sneaking into production under the guise of other things. Just saying. Here's a quote, though, that I find fun. We'll wrap it up with this one. Chris Hemsworth, talking about Ragnarok and Love and Thunder, says, "You do need to be careful. When we made Ragnarok, it was quite a twist with Taika's film. And it was so fun. There was a huge appreciation for the shift. And then Love and Thunder, it was kind of like a Monty Python sketch. And we took the piss probably a little much. And then there was some backlash. There was this real kind of, why is he a goofball and why is he like this? And audiences violently offended. And we were like, oh, we were just having fun or trying something different." This is proof positive, panel. They actually got the message. This is the unfiltered, oh, they never say this out loud, but Chris Hemsworth going there and saying, man, we screwed the pooch on this. And I think that's what Marvel is. If they actually understand what has happened, why the fans have walked away, maybe they have a chance, a small chance of redemption here. What do you say?
Yeah, I think that's true. Listen, the rumors have been that Marvel learned their lesson after the backlash in Phase 4. Those are the rumors. We've heard from a lot of different people on that. So, but they had to get rid of all of the stuff that they already had in process, things in the pipeline. So they are trying to purge all of that out and get real with the fans. So I think that's probably in the cards for sure. Look, if they want to keep this thing going, they're going to have to change up course, because they have been dropping the ball on this franchise, which should just be able to print money at will with every single project. We remember the first 3 phases and how well this franchise was doing. And now it's sitting right next to Star Wars in a lot of ways. You know, in terms of fan interest, do people really want to go back and watch another Marvel movie? You know, like that's where we're at right now. So I think that they have gotten the message. I think Chris Hemsworth hit the nail right on the head. It's like, you know what? We went a little bit too far in one direction with Thor, Love, and Thunder, and they're now trying to pedal back and make some better, quality stuff. So I welcome it. I want Marvel to be good. I'm not one of these people that I just want to hate on everything. I want Marvel to actually get their act together and produce something that is worthy of the name Marvel.
I agree with you. And, we're entering this era where I don't know how Hollywood works anymore. It's a good time for them to wrap all this up and say, you know what? Hand it over to the other content creators. Go ahead and make this stuff for us. These guys are aging out, but they'll be this age forever in digital. So just go at it. Have at it. I don't know. Maybe that's the way. All right.
Yeah.
All hearts and minds and beards cleared. Fake Wizard, what do you say?
Yeah, I think the big thing with Thor is when you look at his stories and every time he appears in these films, they're sad. And we were supposed to have overcome that. You look at Thor 2, he loses his mother and he constantly keeps losing Loki. And Thor 3, now he loses Asgard. He loses all of his friends, loses his father. By the time we get to Endgame, he's lost everything. And we've overcome that. There's this moment where he's broken down in Endgame. He's a completely, and he has to overcome that, right? That you've lost all this, but you're still the hero. And then we get to Love and Thunder, and they completely undermine that. And now he's an idiot. So whatever they do next, we need to get back to Thor being a hero, and he's heroic, and he's someone worth going to see a movie for, because the Thor we got in Love and Thunder wasn't worth the price of admission. It was embarrassing. It was an insult. So I whatever they do next has to get us back to wanting to see Thor win and hopefully get some kind of a happy ending, because his life's been too miserable for it to just continue being miserable. That's just not fair to the character, but it's also not fair to the fans who want him to win. So I hope whatever they do is nice.
No more hypnotic goats and no more full bore Chris Hemsworth buttocks, I believe. That'll be fine with me. Kara, I'm sorry, Kara.
Speak to yourself on that last bit.
You want the full buttocks? You want the full derriere brought back again?
Oh my.
Yourself.
Kara's like, how dare you?
I'm offended. What about the female's gaze? Come on.
Listen, Kara only watches the first 10 minutes of Terminator.
I think the objection is putting the terms full buttocks and full bore right next to each other.
Buttocks, Lauren, buttocks. And yet again, folks, we have come to the end. But what a video it has been, and we hope you agree. Folks, if you had a good time with us, consider clicking that like button, share, subscribe, click it, stick it to the algorithms. It is the notification bell, and drop a comment right on down below. We care about your thoughts. Folks, we also want to invite you to partake in thatparkplace.com. Of course, www. You get the idea. Thatparkplace.com. It is the website telling the truth, and it is a rising star across the web for pop culture news coverage and analysis. Go over there and bookmark it today. Folks, we're bookmarking you as a great guest that we appreciate. Until the next time we have the honor of spending time with you, keep learning, keep growing, and as always, folks, you better believe it, keep having fun.